I would start to remove parts of myself that were authentic and I would replace them with parts that would be approved. If somebody would come to me, I'm like, let me remove all the parts that I know you will reject and give you all the parts that will make you love me. But ultimately, that led me to a life of depression. Me walking alone is stronger. I was presenting myself as stronger than being submerged by all these people, not being able to be found by the crowd.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Maverick Me Podcast. Today we're diving in with Yara Helou, a spirit guide and a mentorship coach. She stays in Quebec. There was a lot of freezing rain yesterday, but that cannot change her spirit because the warmth of her soul and the wisdom of her mind keeps not only her, but all those around her completely charged. And yesterday, after the freezing session in Quebec, we had an icebreaker session, and that brought a lot of energy to my study table, wherein I was brought into the space of a lot of healing to myself, and that was her magic, the miracle that she is. Welcome to the show, Yara. Tell us something about yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was such a kind introduction. As you mentioned, I am a spirit guide and mentor, and my mission in this life is really to help people reconnect with their spirit and really find that there isn't anything missing within their lives. I'm a mom of three, and my children have really been the biggest lesson in my life, and really in imparting their wisdom and in learning from them, they have been guiding me through my own journey. So yeah, lots of things to share. So I can't wait to dig into our topic today.
Yes, so uh, I've seen that and studied and learned as a part of my learning journey and seeking that most of the healers that I've spoken to, most of the people who are working in the spaces of energies and spiritual guides and empaths and mentors and leaders have risen from the pain, have risen from
Mm.
rejection, have risen from depression. Does that is that from where your story begins of awareness, the journey to yourself? Tell us something about how did
Absolutely.
it begin?
Absolutely. So, I am an immigrant myself. We came to Canada with my parents and my brothers in 2003. And from that point, when I saw my parents, struggling and trying to make things happen for us, my only goal in life was just to make them proud. Whatever it is that would get me recognition from them, that is what I sought out. And it really kept me on a really good path. I got a good education. I graduated. I got a job right after graduation. I met a wonderful man who I am still with, 11 years strong. We have three beautiful children, as I mentioned, but there was always something along that path that just never fully and completely resonated within me. I really struggled to feel pride within myself. I struggled to feel happiness and joy and connection with everything else happening. It almost felt like there isn't enough time for me to accomplish all the things that I wanted to accomplish. But at the same time, the things that I was succeeding at weren't the things that were making me happy. They weren't the things that were making me feel like proud of my own self. And the fear of disappointment, the fear of rejection for wanting to seek out the things that spoke to me was a lot stronger. That was the loudest voice in my head, just kind of screaming at me, don't be a disappointment. Don't let others reject you. So I would start to filter out my personality. I would start to remove parts of myself that were authentic and I would replace them with parts that would be approved. And depending on the person, I was so good at it. And I remember calling that my superpower. But it was actually such a huge form of disempowerment. But I consider myself like a shapeshifter. If somebody would come to me, I'm like, let me remove all the parts that I know you will reject and give you all the parts that will make you love me. And to me, that was like, yeah, I'm so good at this. But ultimately, that led me to a life of depression. And it started out very small, of like little dissatisfaction and little bits and pieces of me losing myself because I keep removing parts of myself that were being rejected, that I was afraid of being rejected. So it came to a breaking point of what's left? What's left of me? And that was the ultimate disconnection where I felt like I was standing at the edge of something, what felt like the end, but really it was just the beginning. As in a lot of stories go, when you reach that very final step, when you feel like it's rock bottom, that's where the awakening happens. So from that depression, I had to make a decision. Either it ends here or I find a way to turn it back around and start rising up again. And that vision and trying to hold that capacity felt so big, but it was in deciding from one step of seeking help. And that started off with a close friend at work, just going, things are not going good. I became honest. When people ask me, hey, how are you doing? I wasn't showing them that persona of everything's great. I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
So,
I,
I would want to interfere there, a little intervene there with the point that you were still in a state of awareness because you knew which blocks to pick out and which blocks to put in to impress people. So, despite the fact that you were a people pleaser, you were
Mhm.
so aware of what you were doing. I mean, that's surprising because when people go into that dark space, they just keep loading themselves with better things.
Yeah.
It's like this long time back, I saw this amazing movie, The Runaway Bride. He told her, which is your favorite eggs? That's where you begin from,
Yeah.
rather than meeting the man and then making his egg kind of eggs your favorite. So, but you were aware what you were doing, and then you were doing it. That meant that somewhere inside you exactly knew what you were doing.
I That's a very great perception actually, because for me, even as a child, everything happened inside of me. I never really projected things outwards. Everything in the outside world, I would put on as a mask, as a show. So I had to internalize a lot of different things and understand and plot and plan. So through that connection of my thinking, the brain, right? I would say, I know this person doesn't respond well to feelings, doesn't respond well to emotional women, doesn't respond well to these things. So when I approach them, I'm going to be tactical, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, right? So there is a deep sense of awareness, but to me, it was like a wittiness. Like that's how sharp I am because I considered myself to be intelligent, and that's what my parents wanted me to be. So I played that role. I was really good at behaving in these ways, at becoming that actor,
Wow.
and playing that character that people wanted me to be. So there definitely was a sense of awareness, but I wasn't totally using it to my benefit.
So you were playing a Netflix series of A person sometimes, and you would be a B person sometimes, and a C person sometimes. But which says that how smart your brain is, that you exactly knew which role to play at what point of time and to impress and how to get the best out of that situation, which is now seemingly a role reversal because the mind now doesn't need to play any games. So, what must be coming out of that mind controlled and mind in place would be so amazing. So, when did this transition, and which was the day when you realized that I'm me, I'm good, and I'm going to be like this? Which I mean, when did
Mhm.
that happen?
So this actually happened during a call with a coach, and she was actually a mystic, but I never knew, like we never even went into that. We never even went into like mysticism or spirituality. We were focusing on my brain, on the knowledge pieces, and how I can regain control of my thoughts and my life. But of course, as you know, the universe would have it, they put this person in my way because that's the path that I was meant to explore. But she told me, okay, how about you're so good at playing characters, create the character that you want to play, the one that would feel so authentic and so comfortable for you. What does that person look like? And because I felt like I was always being put into a box, like this person, I have to be put in this box for them. I can't go outside of the lines. I started to play with these characters. I started to like actually enjoy putting on different roles and finding and exploring different parts of myself that I wasn't able to, that I didn't feel safe to express. So we would have like, the the bad girl persona, the one who takes up space and walks with her head up high and just, makes eye contact with everybody, and she would walk so confident and comfortably, and I would report back and be like, yeah, we'd even give them like different names. Sounds crazy.
No, that sounds so genuine. That sounds like the I can actually picture it, when you thinking and talking in those spaces. And then what was the moment? I want to take you to that one moment where that happened to you. And at that moment, did Yara, the one who had come to Canada, did she know that girl who had she become at that moment?
That's a really good question. I think in hindsight, looking back at it, I just re-became what I already knew I was. There wasn't anything new. It was just all familiar. All these parts already existed. Even though I was pretending to be that character, I'm putting it on, so I'm able to be that. And that's where it all kind of came colliding together. All the different um, possibilities and potential that is possible for me. If I choose to play the character of somebody who is disempowered, of somebody who is depressed, of somebody who is antisocial, and all the other things that I felt that I struggled with, then there is a potentiality, a possibility where I am empowered, where I am strong, where I am outgoing and safe to be experienced by others as my full authentic self. It sort of showed me that if I'm able to play a range of characters, then there must be one character that fits me fully and authentically. And of course, that is when I started to play the authentic character, is where people started falling away. And all of a sudden, things felt a little bit scary, but I didn't feel unsafe. People just sort of started like, oh, we don't like, oh, Yara's changing. She's different now, right?
Wow.
And at one point in my life, I would have been, no, no, love me, love me. I can change. But at that point, I said, that's okay. I love this version. I love this character of who I'm playing now. I just let things that weren't serving me fall away, even though that's not how my brain was thinking about it at that time. And in return, I began attracting people in my life that loved me for exactly who I was. And it happened incrementally, right? Some people would come and they'd say, wow, I love that thought. And it would be a pure, authentic thought from me. And I'd go, whoa, that like
She loves my real
you.
self.
Exactly.
Wow. So
Exactly.
when you took charge of your being and decided that this is me and I love this, when you by your own concept where you say you became the leader of this vessel, this body,
Hmm.
was thereafter a journey of loneliness? Because spiritual people are also known to be very loners, because they say a lot of people just leave them because they are no longer pleasing anybody. So was there loneliness once you become a leader of this vessel? Was there any uh, pangs of loneliness, and how would you balance your energies, and how did you do that?
Absolutely. So I'm gonna share a story. When I was in university, that's when I was playing, the excited party girl, like love me, and I'm like gathering people, but I was depleted on the inside. But every time I would bump into this one specific person, I would always be by myself. Any other time you would see me, I'm in a group of at least five, six people. But when he would see me, I would be by myself. And he would say to me, you're such a lone wolf. I love that about you. He's like, every time I see you, you're just like doing your own thing, like walking your own path. That's so cool. And he was that one person that showed me that me walking alone is stronger. I was presenting myself as stronger than being submerged by all these people, not being able to be found by the crowd. So how that translated when I was going through this leadership phase of making my own decisions, conscious decisions, I would call them. I started recalling back on that moment of right now I am a lone wolf because I'm meant to experience this internally. And in those moments where I was alone, I wasn't, I was seeking refuge. I was seeking solitude. I was seeking quiet. I was seeking peace. I wasn't uncomfortable in being alone. But at times when I would be seeking this refuge, I would say it came to a point where I would love to find my community. I would love to find my tribe, people who understand me, people who can have a banter of back and forth. I was at a place where I was not being rejected, but I wasn't being fully understood. Um, Wanting to talk about like different concepts and really getting out there. I love to explore everything. Nothing to me is off topic, nothing to me is taboo. But there were certain people who were just like, okay, like that's good for you. Uh, they approached it with love, but it wasn't like a back and forth, spirit to spirit communication sort of situation. It was like the heart meeting the mind. And I wasn't speaking or resonating to a part of their spirit. So when I started digging into the leadership aspect of things, and I know I shared this with you on a previous call that we had, but reclaiming the word leadership for me is to guide the vessel. And to me, it became my responsibility to lead myself to my community, to the people who I can connect with spirit to spirit. And that's where really the journey of my loneliness came to an end because spirit is not, it cannot be boxed. The energy of it cannot be trapped or consumed by anything. So I started to put myself out there. The more that I spoke about my experiences, the more that I spoke about myself, drew in that community. And that's how I regained that emotional balance within myself, is that by remembering the strength of the lone wolf, and by remembering that the more visible that I become, the more unafraid I am to take up space, the more that I call in the tribe and the people who need to hear what I have to say, and vice versa, and meeting them at a place of heart and spirit instead of mind.
Wow. So the lone wolf found solitude and bliss in solitude. That means that's how it is. Beautiful. So, Yara, we had a discussion on Sufism and how the divine love and the unconditional love, which is portrayed by the beautiful stories of Sufism. How do you connect in that space?
So, Sufism for me, I grew up in a Muslim household, open-minded. We were, encouraged to explore and look into different traditions, celebrations, and all these things. And one of the imageries that was familiar to me is the raqs, the twirling
Oh,
dervishes.
yes.
And I just thought like I was a young child, so looking at it, I'm like, they don't have many dance moves. It's it's they're just twirling, right? And every time this imagery would pop up for me, and as I became more connected to my body and conscious dancing and conscious movement, I came into Rumi and the story of what he saw when he was walking in his village of the twirling dervish who would express his gratitude to Creator through this dance, through the ever-changing collectivity and the way the hands rise up in gratitude and the way they brought this energy back down into their heart through the twirl. It connected with me on such a deep level spiritually. And that was kind of the story of Sufism. It came and ended there. It was very much like art, poetry, mysticism, beautiful stuff. And then years later, I was looking for I was looking for a spiritual teacher, and I came across somebody who was local to my area. She was a naturopath. Again, nothing to do with like mysticism or looking at anything, deeply spiritual. Um, but I go and I have a chat with her, and turns out that she is a Sufi teacher.
Wow.
And once she found out my roots and I gave her a little bit of my story, she began to teach me about the sound of frequencies in different words, in different chants, in different modalities. And all of a sudden, all of my practices came together of the things that I was taught to do as a child now have a really deep and profound meaning as to why I can maintain these practices. Um, a lot of people, when you talk to them about like astrology or, lunar cycles and things like that, they're like, okay, but is it real though? And to me, it's like these are great celestial beings in the
Yeah,
sky. Like
yeah,
they're so much larger than our own
yeah,
world. Why wouldn't they have an impact on us, right?
definitely.
And all of these ancient wisdoms, I find that so entrenched in Sufism that it translates physically into art and poetry. And that's what I connect with the most is through the beauty of what is in the physical and how it resonates on a spiritual level as well.
Beautiful. So, Yara, if we take to look at the journey of the depression, rejection, that understanding yourself, getting into the divine space, understanding loneliness, breaking out of loneliness, moving into the bliss situation, thereafter understanding that you have to move forward. And there comes in a point in time when you feel that you are standing at a door where you have to open this door and you have to go out and tell the world how you're feeling.
Mm.
And exactly at that point of time, there are a lot of spiritual gatekeepers who are
Yes.
gatekeeping. There are a lot of ethics, values set to be. There are a lot of concepts that if you're coming from this religion, you can't practice this. If you're coming from
Mm.
this religion, you can't practice this. So, how did you push that door open and push the gatekeepers away and came out with the work that you are doing with the community today? The mentorship and the spirit guide mentorship that you're providing today. How did you push that door open and create your own niche of working with the people? And how challenging was that? Please share that story.
That's a great question. So I remember very specifically one moment in time where after I felt like this whole awakening and this bliss come over me, I felt this deep urge for knowledge. I was just anywhere I can get it, any book that I can read, like from Eckhart Tolle to Michael Singer, and just uh, it was like I need to consume as much as possible. And through that consumption, I felt like, okay, the more that I learn, the more wisdom I will have. The more books that I'm able to flip through, the more it'll sink in and seep in, and the bigger my brain will be. But it had nothing to do with the brain. It had nothing to do with knowledge. It had nothing to do with information. And as I'm going to see these different, speakers, healers, mystics, all magical in their own way, but it always felt like they were telling me something's missing from you. You need to know about quantum physics. I'm like, oh, okay, let's learn about that because that will make me more spiritual. And then manifestation, the laws of attraction, right? And then the modalities and all these different things. And none of these, it felt so overwhelming, and I had to keep paying money to learn all these different things. And oh, you want to get more detailed, you want to manifest more, you want to be more, until I realized, hold on, let me check in with myself. Let me check in with my own spirit, my own intuition. I'm outsourcing wisdom. You cannot purchase wisdom, right? You can learn as much as possible, but it's only upon reflection where this wisdom comes through you. So it came to me in a moment where I realized I don't need to be more spiritual. Learning more things won't make me more spiritual. If I have a spirit, then I am spiritual. So it's not by choice. No matter what I do, it is a spiritual movement. And that's where both worlds kind of came in together. Because I see a lot of people separating, like, oh, this experience wasn't spiritual, but this experience where I felt an energy was more spiritual. And the reality is, every macrocosm comes from the same microcosm. So anything that you can have at a small level can happen at a big level, and it's the same exact thing. So if you feel like, for example, I don't feel like wearing green today, I want to wear blue. That is a spiritual experience because you're feeling some sort of connection, some sort of energy from what this color provides to you. Versus something is telling me I shouldn't take that path, I should take this path. Okay, that is your spirit guiding you towards which path to walk. So where the doors blew open is really where I started connecting to my own wisdom and sharing what I had to say about all of these things. But at the same time, just because I was looking for information doesn't mean it wasn't a spiritual quest. My spirit was guiding me to that information so that I can transmute that into my own knowledge. And this is where I was at the point of now I need to tell others who might be feeling like me, who think that they're missing information, who think that they need to go and learn physics, who think that they need to, start studying all these different things that, remember to check in with yourself. Remember to own the responsibility that you are the one that is going to guide yourself in the end. Nobody can take your spirit by hand, encompass it, and take it where it needs to go. That is only up to you alone.
Wow.
And that really to me is the purpose of all spirit here.
Wow. So another step into it is now that you have come into a complete, you become a spiritual boulder there. You've crossed the gatekeeper, you move down and you've announced to the world that I'm in awareness. I know my spirit is guiding me. I don't need Google to tell me what my spirit is saying, and I don't need decodes because I am myself this vehicle and I will decode myself. So once you came into that awareness, would you term it as coming into your true form and in a situation of or in a state of oneness with the universe where you actually fought the concepts of duality and you actually came into conscious awareness, Yara?
That's a really good question. So I think a lot of times I would see things as right or wrong. And it was also up until that moment of making sure I pick the right path, making sure that whatever it is that I'm exploring is not bad or is not like going to cause me anything like harmful or evil, which of course discernment is a huge part in this. But removing the dualities and understanding that everything is one, everything is part of the all taught me to see everything as a mirror, as a reflection. It taught me to understand that somebody else's pain is not meant for me to experience it in real time. It's something that I have already experienced and something that I have already overcome. I find this is the hardest part to put into words and to teach people this kind of information because it's an experience, right? You can't tell them, well, you're part of the all, so I am you, you are me. It's okay. Right? It doesn't have the same effect as when you actually experience it and we see each other as mirrors. And that saying of we are the universe experiencing itself, when you are experiencing it in a conscious way, that is where you have the authority over your own decisions and over your own actions. So it's not about black and white. It's really about experiencing the spectrum of all the colors that are in between. That's what makes life full and what makes it whole and really starts to draw out the authenticity within you.
Did you realize you just drew a rainbow?
I didn't realize that, but I felt it.
You drew a rainbow. Everything that you wanted to say just came out as a rainbow and encompassed all the colors, and the energy went whoosh just like that
Mm,
as the sun comes out. Uh, my last question to you would be to do you think you're a spirit guide today? So do you sit in the middle of being a mystic and a healer and at the same point of time a life coach? And
yeah.
what what should people expect from you when they meet you?
Mhm. So I am a certified life coach because again, I that was at a point in my time where I felt like I needed knowledge, a certification, proof that I'm able to help and to guide others. And it was very valuable. There's a lot of modalities and techniques to help others and meeting them where they're at. But to me, I call myself a mystic and a spirit guide because you are responsible for your transformation. I help guide and facilitate the transformation for you. And what people can expect, I've had people say this to me. They say, it's like you're seeing what's inside my head. Like you're seeing what I'm visualizing. And I find that's how I connect with people. It's by using their own modalities, their frames of references. I, for example, work with clients who are very artistic. So some people resonate with music. So when I talk about frequencies, I talk to them in terms of music language. There are others who are artists, so I talk to them in different modes of painting. And I'll be quite honest, I don't have all this information because I studied a lot of music or a lot of art. It's because of all the practice that I had in removing parts of myself and placing parts of them within me that I'm able to reflect back what works for them. So nothing in this world is useless, and nothing in this world, and my experience has been harmful or a waste of time. That part where I was removing parts of myself, I was making space for people for to have certain parts of people within me, to see what I can resonate with them. So now I'm able to consciously decide, let me add this to my block and show you how I can work with you based on terms that you know.
Wow.
So I don't claim that I will activate and give you a magical power through the internet. I don't have that power. What I do have is I can speak your language. I can communicate with your spirit and yours to mine as well. And I can help facilitate the path of transformation for you.
Powerful. That's and take you back from where we talked about your points of taking out the blocks of your personality,
Mhm.
putting in those. Actually, that is where your entire system, the way it works, comes back to. So that's was what you were doing initially. Actually, what that's exactly, and you have a master control over it. How and today, how you would meet a person, keep the person, take out the person, get the new person, repair the person, move the person. So I think that's that's mind blowing. How well you can now craft this entire thing. This is amazing. I think we'll have to have another detailed session because I don't want to let people know that uh, there is end to the talks that we can have here. And one message for our viewers today on and one message, what are we going to bring up the next when we talk, which is going to be hopefully very
Mhm.
soon. And anything that you want to say to the viewers today from your side.
Yeah. I think I would leave them with, even if you think you're walking on the wrong path, you'll always end up on the right path.
That's great. Thank you so much, Yara. This is amazing. This conversation brings us to the story of yet another journey of that talks about the silver lining, that the clouds will always have a silver lining, no matter how painful it is, no matter how bad it is. But this road is going to unfold you to a place where sun is going to be there, and like Yara has put so many rainbows around that place. She's not only today bettering lives of other people, her journey continues. She's a learner, she's a seeker, she's seeking. It's and this is just the rainbow. She has to go beyond the horizon, and I'm sure the way she's doing it, she's going to be a miracle for this world. Let's keep looking out for her and let's keep looking at what she's doing. I'll be posting the Instagram links of the work that she's doing so that you can go and check out. And thank you so much, Yara. God bless you. Have a great life and stay connected. Thank you.
God bless you too. Thank you so much.